Hi.
So what are you undoing now?
I'm undoing sway bar. I think that's what it's called.
Okay, that big ass bar.
Yeah. And we're gonna sort out this charcoal.
Yeah, eat it.
We're gonna sort out this charcoal canister because it's cracked from the accident. Let's see. There's this one bolt left from what I can see. And then I'm pretty sure when we undo this, the diff should fall slightly. Yeah, I think that's the only thing holding the diff kind of upright, and it should kind of drop at least an inch or so. I don't see anything else, so let's see. This is really, you know what would be really cool? If we just cut this whole tire thing out, so I could just sit up, and if I'm sitting, my head would be in the boot.
Why don't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Fucking easier.
I'm devastated to announce the sandpit idea from last video. We're gonna have to scratch it. This is not an option if you are trying to weld a diff in your daily. Don't do this. But how easy is it? Look at it. The diff is right in my face. So I would say if you're setting up a track car, get rid of the spare tire completely. It just it'll make your life so much easier. But the diff is definitely leaning more down now.
Which is better?
Yeah, it's better. The bushing at the back is absolutely fucking ruined.
Is that bad thing?
Not for a farm car. Let's drain the diff. Look how clean that is. Holy crap.
Is that a good colour?
Yeah, that's really good. Super clean. Hell yeah. We're off. That's really cool. So instead of carrying my heavy gas bottle and the not so heavy welder over all the way here, I just decided to drive to the other driveway and make my life 10 times easier. You might have seen this from a different video of mine, but yeah, so now we clean it up, weld it, put it back together, done. And then pray that it doesn't blow up. All right. Don't want to have dirty hands when I'm working, so I might as well. Got to put on the gloves, you know. Now I'll put the gloves on because I'm about to use some heavy duty parts cleaner, and I don't really want, like, I don't mind getting a bit of grease and like a bit of, you know, the shit that accumulates around your diff and all your parts. I don't mind getting that on my hands, but I mean, I shouldn't. I'm just too lazy to get gloves. But when it comes to chemicals, I am not too lazy to get gloves. So look at that. Here is where I sprayed the heavy duty parts cleaner. Look at that. Silver. And now here is where I didn't spray the parts cleaner. Look at that black right there. Now watch, if I just hit it, boom. Look at it just come off. This shit is good shit. Look at that. They're not joking around when they say heavy duty parts cleaner.
Woo!
I don't really want to make a guide. I mean, like, I don't need to make a guide about, because there's so many people who have welded diffs out there. But basically, I'll just show you what you need to weld if you somehow stumble upon my channel. Let me grab the camera. So what you want to do, right, See these spider gears? These 4 gears that you can see? What you want to do is you want to weld tack in the corner of each gear. Okay, so as you can see, here's the diff. Now what I do is I will put a weld in each of the 4 corners of the spider gears, and then I might put a plate in and then weld this spider gear to the opposite spider gear and that one to the bottom, and then when you turn it around you basically do the same thing on the other side. So that's what I've seen people do. I wouldn't just fill this in with junk and then just pray that it holds. I prefer to weld all 4 gears together as much as possible.
Is it looking good?
Yeah, so all 4 corners are welded now, but I really want to put a plate in there. Okay, so as you can see, each corner is welded. Although as rough as it is, the welds look good. I can't help but tag some of the corners while I'm doing it. See, like, look, that top weld, that's a really nice weld. That's because I can get the nozzle in close enough. Let me see if I can, yeah, you can see that. That's the only weld, and the bottom one is where I can get the nozzle in close enough. And whereas these ones, the weld's not bad, but the nozzle's so far away that I'm losing voltage. So what I might do is I might crank it up a bit and see if I can just power through it. When it comes to welding a diff, if you don't really know how to weld and you want to go ahead and do it, you can learn the basics and you can do it, but just don't feel discouraged when the weld isn't doing what you expect it to do, because welding the diff is like the worst way you can learn to weld, because you can't get close enough to the work, you can't get your appropriate angle to get the weld to come out decent. It won't come out looking nice. You can get it to look nice on these welds, but once you start trying to weld on this side, it's just too hard to get in there and you're gonna have trouble. So don't feel discouraged if your weld looks like shit when you're welding a diff. I mean, I would recommend just try and learn to weld a little bit before you weld the diff, and then just expect it to look somewhat crappy. I'll show you my welds afterwards.
Can you show now?
Yeah, I can show them now. So what I've done,
I just need to do this.
What I've done is I've welded the spider gear to that outside case. I mean, not the outside case, but to that bit. And I haven't done anything on the inside there. But that's just adding extra surface area for the weld to hold and not break. But yeah, that's what I've done so far. Let's check out the other side. So the other side should look somewhat neater. So you can see the welds aren't too bad. Yeah, the welds aren't too bad at all. I just want to connect the 2 spider gears together. I don't want that big gap to be there. Okay, as you can see, what I've come up with is, hold on, let me get a better angle here. You can see I put a piece of rebar inside the center of the diff, and you can see those spider gears on the left. I'll have full access to welding them, and then I'll also have full access here. Now when I go to weld this, you see how, let me put this light down, you see how these spider gears have these triangles? When I'll go to weld it, I'll follow the rebar and then I'll go into the triangle and then stay there for a bit until the triangle gets filled up, and then I'll move down and then back to the triangle. I'm not just going to weld these tips of the triangles, I'll also get into the grooves. You'll see on the other side, because I've already done it on the other side, but yeah, I just took a bit of rebar, cleaned it up, slid it in there and I'll have full access.
Fire.
Yeah, she's alright. Fuck off.
Fire.
So as you can see, I just finished the weld, and I really like how this came out. You can see I didn't have much access to the left there, but I got all the gears and I welded them to the rebar, and then I've got all these. And what I was saying before was, as I'm welding downwards, I'm changing the angle of my torch and I'm getting into these corners here and welding it nice and consistently all the way down. As you can see, I tied it in real well because you can't see the center of the rebar. And all I did was one run here and one run on the left. So just 2 runs, because I really don't want to overheat it, and I'm already putting so much heat into it. But yeah, I really like how that came out. Very happy with that. And it looks good too, somewhat. So this is attempt number 2. I've got the proper nozzle. I've looked up a few things. Now, when I'm reading this, it says here, tooling time 5 minutes, which I assume that you have 5 minutes to put it on there, and then tack free time is 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do is, I watched a few videos, but the one that stood out to me was Chris Fix's video. So I'm going to put the silicone on there, then I'm going to tighten the bolts by hand until I see the silicone slightly come out. Then I'm going to wait 15 minutes, because that's what it says on this silicone, and then I'll tighten them all the way down to spec. Because what I noticed was some videos out there, some people say don't wait, just tighten it all the way down, and other people say no, you have to do that. But then I saw in the comments a lot of people were saying the instructions on each one are different, so just check your instructions. That's what I'm gonna do. But the funny thing was, even though yesterday's attempt was horrible, when I took all the bolts off, I couldn't get this off. I had to like take a piece of wood and hammer the cover off. So I could definitely see, you know, my mistakes, but I mean it held on pretty damn well. That looks a lot better to me, but that's still, from what I heard, that's still too much silicone. But I don't think we're gonna have a problem. So now we wait 15 minutes, I assume, because 5 minutes is the tooling time.
Yep. So by tooling, that means the application time.
Yeah, that's what I would guess. Let's see. Yay! So. All good. Alright, so that's done. What I did notice was we waited 15 minutes for the RTV to get tacky, and then what I did was I then torqued them down, and what I've noticed is there's like a little bead like slightly pushed out, but not too much. So it looks to me that after 15 minutes the RTV gets strong enough so it doesn't just get squeezed out. So it was good that I redid this, and I used a bit too much RTV. From what I've noticed, like when people comment, they comment use the like smallest amount of RTV you can, depending on what parts of the car you're doing it on. That's what I read. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. I'm glad I redid it. So now we're gonna put it together, and that's it. I'll fill the diff up maybe during the week or on next weekend, and that's it. We'll see if it leaks. If it leaks, I'll just do it again until it doesn't leak. So that's good. Time to put it back together. Alright, so there you have it. We have welded a diff. We started at midday. It's about 4:20, 4:30 right now. And as you can see, so what I chose to do was I chose to cut this whole thing out just because I wanted to sit here with my back straight and have access to the diff. I would recommend deleting the spare tire. I don't know if that's a thing, but I would recommend it just because it makes everything so much easier to work on. Now, because I wasn't going to do anything with this hole, but because I cut this whole tire out, I might put a piece of plate over the top here just so no one kind of gets in here and realizes there's no floor and then regrets it because their legs have been broken. But yeah, so it was just 7 bolts holding the diff and taking the sway bar out. So 3 bolts on each side for the sway bar, this one big bolt for the mount of the diff, and then obviously each bolt for the cover. But that's all I had to do to get access to the diff. When it comes to welding the diff, I was really happy with it. 90% of the diff is perfectly welded, and there's only like 10% of the diff that I couldn't get access to. But yeah, if you have a race car, I would recommend doing this. It just makes everything so much easier. And that's it. If there's any other weak parts, you know, to do with the diff, I think that'll blow up before the actual diff, because like I said, this is probably the best one so far. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you get some good tips for the welding, and see you next time.